again, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Gold Podcast. I'm speaking with Jeb Handwerger once again, Jeb of goldstocktrades.com. And Jeb and I, we were recently invited on a mining tour with Corvus Gold, and they showed us their North Bullfrog project in Nevada. We went on this tour about 7 or 8 days ago, and Jeb and I wanted to thank Corvus. We wanted to thank Ryan Coe and Russell Myers, their president, for taking us on this tour. We've talked about Corvus before, and Corvus is structured kind of a little bit in the project generator type model. They have 4 or 5 projects, and they've basically joint ventured out their other projects in Alaska. And so Corvus is putting most of its marbles, you could say, or most of its money into North Bullfrog in Nevada. And Jeb, you can talk a little bit more about Corvus and how they came from ITH, because you're more familiar with ITH. But before I get to you, Jeb, I just want to let the listeners know Corvus had a recent 43101 report, and it showed a major expansion of their gold resource at North Bullfrog. Their indicated resource is up to zero point 0.2 million ounces, and their inferred resource had a major increase to 1.4 million ounces. So a lot of resources there in the inferred category, and we could, in the coming year or so, we could see more of those converted into the M&I category. But anyway, Jeb, why don't you give us your general thoughts on Corvus Gold and just a thought or two on North Bullfrog as we start here?
Yes, Jordan. I also wanted to thank Dr. Russell Myers, president of Corvus, and Ryan Coe, head of investor relations, to invite us out to this project. I'd also like to thank Mark Reichman, who's the Nevada exploration manager, for his expertise and explaining the Bullfrog project. Now, Mark came from Mark was at Barrick, and he was a key member of Barrick's Bullfrog District evaluation team. So he really understands this area of Nevada very well and the potential of this whole Bullfrog District. Now, this Bullfrog District, where Barrick had the Bullfrog mine, produced over close to 2.5 million ounces of gold. And, we saw there at the North Bullfrog project, historical production and remnants of mine shafts and mining work that's been in the area for since early 1900s, since 1904. And so this area is a gold area. And what happened was with Barrick is in the late 90s, it was this North Bullfrog area was low grade, and it wasn't economic at prices of gold at $250, $300 an ounce. So now, as gold, we're seeing today we had a strong reversal in gold up to the 1700 area, and we're seeing that the gold prices are going to stay high for some time, and these projects like North Bullfrog are going to become very economic and quite profitable.
Right, and I think you make excellent points there. And I'd also like to thank Mark Reichman, who, as you said, has the most experience in the area, and he very humbly told us, I should know this area as good as anyone, but he really is the expert in that area, having really spent, I think, decades there, or many, many years. And, the one thing, Jeb, that I notice is it's and you expect this in Nevada. It's just they have such a massive land package. I mean, we're going from one area to another area. I mean, I believe we went to like a total of 4 different areas, all at North Bullfrog. So they have this major property that's very expansive in a number of directions, and so the resource that they have, they still have expansion potential. I mean, we did hear some whispers, or at least I did in the past, that this could possibly get to 2 million ounces. And, I'm no geologist, and of course, nothing, this isn't anything that's in a press release, so it's only speculation. Listeners need to remember that. But I think you would agree with me. I mean, just looking at, they already have 1.4 million ounces inferred. I think they can get to 2 million ounces fairly easily. They have $7 million in cash. They are going to, starting next year, they are going to get some cash flow from their joint venture partner at the Terra project in Alaska. So this is a very, very well funded company that, I mean, and remember, they've joint ventured out their other projects. So that most of that 7 million, if they choose to spend it, is going to go into North Bullfrog. And you and I, Jeb, we know that the resources in Nevada, I mean, you get a significant valuation on those resources relative to other properties. So, I mean, you're looking at a company that could, potentially reach 2 million ounces in the next, let's say 2 years or so. And, they could obviously convert many of those ounces into the measured and indicated category. They would receive a significant valuation for that. And looking at the market cap on Corvus, it's basically only about 20 million right now, and obviously they have a tremendous management team. So I guess I'm diverting a little bit, but those are kind of my thoughts as far as how North Bullfrog fits into the company, and how it's going to add a lot more value to the company and for shareholders.
Yeah, and Jordan, you were right. When we were at the property, we saw that this is really a district. I mean, and there's a lot of different deposits on the property that we stood on, and we investigated the different areas, including the Jolly Jane, the Mayflower, the Sierra Blanca. And what was interesting in the last exploration program, when they drilled close to 18,000 meters, they were able to merge a couple of zones into a single zone, outlining a new discovery that we saw with that whole Savage Valley area between the Sierra Blanca and the Yellow Jacket. So that's pretty exciting. And that north end of their property, they hit some nice drilling results. So yeah, they have a resource there that they've expanded to over 1 million ounces, and there's a lot of potential to find better grades there, and there's a lot of potential in expanding that resource in an area of historical mining.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the grade situation a little bit, and because the market has been kind of weak. I mean, take out the last couple of days where it looks like we're bottoming, we're moving back up in the precious metals complex. But prior to that, I think the market really just didn't really care about this news release of the significant expansion. Now let me mention the grade. In the indicated resource, it's 0.37 grams per ton. The inferred is 0.28 grams per ton. So, this is a bulk tonnage type low grade deposit, and so maybe the market has some concern about being able to profitably produce what's in the ground. And my response to that would be, okay, first of all, this is a property that Corvus's parent company, Tower Hill, acquired when gold was, I believe, not even $600 an ounce. That's something you have to remember. They thought there was a lot of value in this, when gold was, I don't know, 33% or 40% of the price that it is now. Or, I mean, gold has tripled since then, basically. So that's a key point. Secondly, you talked about Mark Reichman. He's been there on this property. So, I think that should give investors a lot of confidence. You have a guy that basically knows the area better than anyone. He's spent a lot of time there. And in addition to Mark, you have Jeff Pontius and Russell Myers, who were very, very successful at Tower Hill, as you know better than I. And, just talking to Dr. Russell Myers, I mean, he really is an expert in geology and really, really understands all these nuances, all the details of these types of things that, are foreign to me and would seem foreign to many people. And so, I mean, I just think when you consider those things and you have a team of people who really know what they're doing, they really know what they're talking about, they've been successful before. I mean, I have a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to, expand the resource and, basically define the areas where, where it's going to be easiest and the most cost effective to pull the gold out of the ground. I mean, so what would you agree with me, and what are your thoughts on what I just talked about?
You hit on a very important point that investors, especially early stage mining investors where there's the great potential, you really need to investigate the management team. I don't really know of any other junior with as good a management team as Jeff Pontius and Russell Myers and Mark Reichman in managing the North Bullfrog, Nevada property. Jeff Pontius is one of the few geologists. I mean, he was the leading exploration geologist for AngloGold Ashanti in North America. Okay, and he's one of the few resumes where he has four major discoveries, gold discoveries. The last one was Livengood, which we all know in Alaska, which is one of the top mines in the world of over 16 million ounces of gold. So he has the expertise. Russell Myers worked with him closely in Livengood to build up that resource. So in this junior, I mean, you see the faith that investors have in this company. Look at Tocqueville Gold. I think one of the best gold mutual funds has taken such a large position. I don't have the numbers off my head, but I think they have a very large stake in a junior miner with a market cap of just over 20 million. Of just over 20 million. I mean, that alone. I mean, North Bullfrog alone is worth multiples, and we're not even talking about any of the Alaskan properties.
Yeah, those are excellent points. And as we close here, I'll just say that Corvus has now paid for me to look at their Alaska projects and now this tour in Nevada. They're a sponsor of my website, so I am biased. I just want to get those disclosures out of the way. And Jeb, we're just trying to provide information here, provide ideas to our listeners out there. It's your job to do the research and call the company, but I mean, I think both of us can say that if you're looking at real junior companies, sub 50 million market cap, this one has to be, if not at the top of the list, near the top of the list. And it's just a really intriguing situation with great people involved, and it's going to be really exciting to see the growth of Corvus and the growth of North Bullfrog. And last point I want to mention, you talked about how the gold price was too low in the 80s and 90s. Sure, gold has corrected a little bit. May have just put in a bottom at 1,600. I mean, what happens to the value at this property as they expand the ounces? Better define the high grade areas, and you're looking at gold possibly going to 2,000, maybe $2,500 an ounce in 1 to 2 years. I mean, obviously the valuation of this property and the company would probably skyrocket. I mean, that's just a speculation on my part. But Jeb, final thoughts.
Yeah, I just got the numbers. Tocqueville has over 13%. AngloGold Ashanti has over 10%, and this is a market cap of 22 million. They have a lot of faith in the management team and in the projects that this company has, and I as well think that this is going to be going to have major growth for investors in this long-term precious metals bull market.
Alrighty, great stuff, Jeb. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jordan.